Hello everyone, I'm Christina Maria's Chrysalis Creations. We're going to dive into another episode of my twin flame journey. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about your journeys, and if I can assist you in any way, I'd be more than happy to. Or requests on other videos to make based off the experiences that you're going through. So like, share, subscribe. The hardest thing for me in my journey was living in the heart space. You see, we get so wrapped up in the ego of things having to be a certain way to be right, or certain words have to be said to be acceptable. We get so blinded into our thoughts that we try to rationalize and ignore our feelings. Our ego is really the biggest enemy. You have to learn to live in the heart space and accept this beautiful journey that you were chosen for before you even got here. And you have to learn to love yourself. You see, I used to be very self-conscious, and I used to carry around the feelings of not feeling good enough, or not being worth anything, or not being pretty enough, or I was too chubby, or I was too this, I was too that. I was always nitpicking myself. And when you do that, you can't live in the heart space. You can't accept true unconditional love from anywhere else. And the term unconditional love is loving without any expectations. Our ego keeps us in that fear of being rejected. It keeps us in that fear of being abandoned. It keeps us in that fear of loneliness. But once you learn to live in your heart space and step out of the ego, you come to realize that your twin never abandoned you. You come to realize that your twin never truly hurt you. It was your expectations of what you expected it to be. It was your ego of what you feared would go wrong. Us as divine feminines, I like to think we're much more spiritually awakened than most of the divine masculines. And I like to think that we have more of a certain knowing than they do. And we verbalize it more than they do. And that is what starts the running and the chasing. Instead of living there and holding on to it and just knowing and feeling and vibrating that, you just start talking about it. You chase after them with all of these emotions that is just overwhelming to them, without even stopping and thinking that they don't feel good enough, even though they don't say it. Or they're afraid to be abandoned, even though they don't say it. So when you run away and you separate, you don't really stop to think what the other twin is going through. And it didn't really hit me until a few months ago, because in my mind, every time that I tried to be emotionally open, which was always really hard for me, it always ended badly. I always thought, before I realized my twin was my twin, that I was just going crazy, like a lot of you are, and I got mad. I would get mad because my intuition has pretty much always been right, and I could feel it. I mean, I just knew it, but I didn't, because I needed that outside reassurance. I needed that 3D confirmation instead of just perfectly living in the heart space. And once you're there, you stop and realize that that separation is just as hard on them as it was on you. When you two come back together and there's all that fire and all that passion and all that kundalini rising energy, it is maddening. Because it is releasing all the negative thoughts that you've thought, and you're just spewing them out, and you look back on them and it's like, wow, they really didn't make no sense at all. I don't know why I ever thought that or why I ever felt that. And when you learn to look at them through their eyes, when you learn to look at them through the same telescope, the same energy, and you realize that everything that you went through internally during the separation, that they went through, you start to feel a whole different way. When my twin brought up about me running after being gone for 7 years, it really hurt me, and I don't know why. It shouldn't have, but I never thought that he would notice. I never thought that it would bother him, because I thought that he'd be happier without all that added confrontation, without all that added pain. I didn't realize that he needed me as much as I needed him, and not in a codependent kind of way, but in a duality, beautiful, heart-space way. And when you learn to live it every day and be thankful for it, even the sad times, you stop remembering the sad times. All you can think of are the smiles.